All right. Who is your next witness?
Dr. Alan Chap, Your Honor, and he is in the witness room.
All right. And is this an expert witness? All right. Has there been any? What's that?
There's no controversy with regard to it.
Okay, I was going to say I didn't recognize that name as anyone we've previously discussed. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I told you this at the very beginning of the trial. I know I said a lot of things at the beginning of the trial, but I just want to remind you that statements by attorneys or the court during any evidentiary arguments, as you've heard, we're not going to make you get up and leave every time we do that because we'd never get this done, are not evidence and should not be considered as evidence. They're just legal arguments for the parties, okay? Thank you very much.
Witness has not been sworn, Your Honor. Has not.
All right. Stop there and raise your right hand for me. Thank you.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give, you do the truth, so help you, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
All right. Have a seat over here for me.
Come on, man. Just watch your step, okay? Good afternoon, Doctor. We're close to the promised time to get on the stand, I hope. Could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your full name, please?
Sure. My name is Alan Chap.
And you are a doctor?
Yes.
Can we go through briefly your medical educational background so the jury can understand why you're here today?
Yes.
Where did you go to med school?
University of Cincinnati.
And when did you graduate from University of Cincinnati?
2008.
And after you left Cincinnati in 2008, I take it you've been working in the medical field?
Correct.
Do you have a specialty?
Surgical critical care and trauma surgery.
Surgical?
Critical care.
Could you explain to the jury what surgical critical care is?
So critical care is when we take the people that have, life-threatening illnesses, life-threatening injuries, that go to the intensive care unit. My job is to take care of them.
What is the difference between an emergency room doctor where people come in by ambulance and what you do in the surgical critical care field?
So the emergency room doctors are the ones that see the injuries or illnesses initially, do the diagnosis, do the workup that needed, and then we come in as consultants once they figure out that this is something that needs our expertise.
And that expertise being surgical necessity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, after you graduated from Cincinnati, where did you go work in the field of surgical critical care?
Well, I did surgery residency and surgical critical fellowship at Eastern Virginia.
And when did you finish that?
2013.
And after 2013, did you continue your education or you go to
I
work?
worked afterwards.
Tell us where you went to work.
So initially it was in right outside Durham, North Carolina. I had a hospital down there, and then I was in private practice for another 2 years, and then I came back to I started at Riverside as a critical care and trauma surgeon, and I've been there for 7 years.
So you have been at Riverside Hospital as a critical care surgical doctor for 7 years.
That's correct.
At this time, and your specialty is surgical critical care?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to tender Dr. Chap as an expert in the field of surgical critical care.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
So admitted and acknowledged.
Now, Doctor, before I ask you about your particular testimony here with regard to Abigail Zwerner, did I show you and prepare, based on the medical records, an anatomical illustration showing what happened to Ms. Werner?
Yes.
Permission to approach?
You may.
Record has seen it. And let me ask you if this is in fact that medical illustration, and would it help you describe to the jury what happened for purposes of your care of her?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to have permission. I'll leave one up there, but it'll show up on your screen. Permission to publish it to the jury?
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, without objection.
MV11?
I'm sorry, what number is that given?
MV11, Your
All right,
Honor.
thank you.
Looks a little bit different on mine. Now, you see what on your screen?
Yes.
You can see it as well. I want to go over, if we could first, upon arrival at the hospital, could you tell us what were, and I believe it's in the upper left-hand corner, and I think, with a little luck, I can show you on your screen. Do you see the red?
I do.
Congratulations. Could you go through and tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what were your concerns upon her arriving under your care?
So the first time I met the patient, the medics brought her in, and you could tell that she was anxious, diaphoretic or sweating. When she was hooked up to the monitors, her blood pressures were dangerously low, her oxygen levels were low. She was complaining of chest pain, she was complaining of trouble breathing.
Well, let's go through some of the terminology that's used in this record, which is in the medical records given to you. What does hypotensive mean?
It means that her blood pressure is low.
And when you say blood pressure is low, what does that indicate to someone in your field, surgical specialist?
Well, with a traumatic injury, like I worry about that she's bleeding from somewhere.
All right, what does hypoxic mean?
It means she's not getting enough oxygen, or her oxygen levels are low.
And I take it you measure that, and there's a certain critical level where low is a danger to someone like Abigail Zwerner.
Correct.
Lightheaded, chest pain, all of those things. Let's talk about the last one. Tachycardia. What does that mean to the jury?
Her heart rate is high.
Now, this is how she arrives in your care initially with diagnoses.
Yes, sir.
And what do you do with regard to stabilizing her upon her arrival at Riverside?
So every time you meet a trauma patient, you want to make sure that she can, basically what we call is protect her airway. So if she's breathing, or does she need support, and she did need a face mask for additional oxygen. You check to make sure, you look at her blood pressure, and with her blood pressure being low, we start to figure out where why her blood pressure is low. Is she bleeding from somewhere?
I take it there was a bullet hole in her body that was evident
Yes.
to you?
Yes.
Do you all do scans and x-rays as well for purposes of trying to zero in where the damage is?
Yes, you do a chest X-ray in what we call the trauma bay, or initial resuscitative room.
I want to start using this diagram by first going to the bottom right-hand corner, which is the anterior skeletal view. And tell us, sorry. I'm not professional in this one. It's a little wide. Tell us what this is and what are we looking at for purposes of Abigail Zwerner's injury.
So you're looking at basically the bone in the front is the sternum, and then she's got ribs on either side. You can see her, since you're looking straight on it, it's her left shoulder, and you can see the bullet wound right underneath her left shoulder, or we call it the axilla or armpit.
And that is a broken rib, if I'm not mistaken, on the fracture of the left fourth rib?
Yes.
Now, let's go to the center and explain to the jury what we're looking at first, describing the bullet entrance for purposes of her body and what was going on here in this diagram.
So the bullet wound was it's in her left axilla or armpit. It went into her chest. You could see that by the going through the rib, and basically it's gone into the chest wall, and then through the lung, and that basically sits right next to her backbone. The bullet.
I'm going to again try to tell us, is this here, this circle that I'm around, tell me what that is.
That's like a cross section of her heart.
And what is the pointed area there that looks like a silver piece?
That's a bullet fragment.
Okay, and that would be the remnants of the bullet that entered her body?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to shift from that diagram for a second into the bottom left. Describe for the jury what we're looking at here as it relates to the center diagram that shows the bullet entry ruined into her lung. Are we looking at her spinal column there?
Yes, that's correct.
And is that, again, the same bullet fragment that entered from the center diagram?
Yes.
Now, what does that mean to you as a surgeon? Can we go into someone like Abigail Zwerner urgently and remove that? Is that something that you would do immediately, or would you not do it? What's the diagnosis, and how do you get through it?
I would not take that bullet out initially, no.
I tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why layman's got a bullet, get the bullet out. Tell me why you don't do it as a surgical in someone in Abigail Zwerner's condition?
Well, it's too much important structures around it: nerves, bones, muscles, large blood vessels that you could cause more damage.
Well, as you sit here and look at the diagram and you see the bullet close to the spinal column and close to her, obviously through her lungs, what is it that you do to help stabilize her with a bullet that's remaining in her body?
So what happened to her is that you can see the bullet track, and what happens is it goes through the chest wall into her lung, basically what we call pulmonary contusion or a large bruise and a laceration. And then what happens is that air from the lung and the chest wall fills up between the lung and the chest and actually compresses the lung. Blood also gets into that area, and that makes it dangerous because she won't be able to breathe. If it pushes on the heart, her heart will stop. And so what she needed was a chest tube that goes between the chest wall and the lung to pull that blood out, to pull that air out.
All right, so let's talk about the air and the blood. How does that form after a bullet hole goes through the lung? Is that just your body bleeding?
It's your body bleeding, and then think about when you take a breath, the air that's supposed to stay in the lung and you back exhale it, the air that you breathe in is going to go between, now that she has a hole in her lung, between the chest and the lung itself.
And so what is the danger of, why doesn't the air and the blood just drain out?
Well, it's trapped in the chest.
And what is it that you do for purposes of putting a tube in for purposes of relieving that problem?
So you actually make you want the procedure?
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah,
And then explain to the jury what
So you have
what you
to.
are doing.
So basically, in the emergency room, you have to make an incision kind of right below her nipple line, because that's where the injury is. That's where the space will be, and you insert a plastic tube, which is called a chest tube, and hook it up to suction, and that will pull the blood and the air out and allow the lung to re-expand.
Do you do that and leave it in, or do you take it out? Tell me what happens after you put in the tube.
So we leave it in because we need to, verify that the blood has been drained, and we need to verify what we call the lung re-expanding or coming up. So.
All right, I'm going to talk to you about the white box under the yellow box. I'm not about to say those words out loud. Tell us what we're talking about, what was wrong with her as you point to the left lung.
So the left lung, the words in the left lung basically mean that the top part, there's two lobes of your left lung. The top part had an injury because of the bullet called a laceration. The contusion part is the damage that the bullet, makes as it goes through. Basically, contusion means bruise, but she's got a large bruise around that laceration. And this atelectasis is basically a term for her lung to collapse.
And did her lung collapse?
Yes.
And when it collapses, how does it come back to normal?
It has to be intervened on with this tube. Yes.
And that will then bring it back up to a normal breathing for as long as you have that tube there.
Yes.
Now let me take you to the upper right-hand corner, and I believe that this is an X-ray taken on the day of the shooting, and you will see the yellow arrows and white dots in her left lung. Could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what those signify? This is an actual X-ray, correct?
That's correct.
Tell us what we're looking at here on Abigail Zwerner on the January 6th. What are those?
So the arrow toward the middle of the screen is the bullet fragment.
Here?
Yes.
All right.
And then the two arrows on the left. Excuse me. I'm saying left because that's
Am
the
I
left.
circling the right one?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's her left side because the X-rays you're
Yeah.
looking straight at it. So the arrows on her left side, you show more fragments. You show air in her inner tissues there, and also the arrow on the bottom shows the rib fracture.
All right, so what are we looking at when you say air? What do we see that we would know as laymen that that's air? I know you would know what it is, but what are we looking at for purposes of showing that there's air there?
Just to clarify, if you were looking at her,
What is it there that tells you that there's air in her lung? Just the cloudiness?
yeah. So the cloudiness, and then if you actually look at the bottom part of the lung, You can see how that lung side of the lung is a lot, down further. It's a lot, I call larger or longer than the one on the right side.
Gotcha.
That means that air has gotten into the chest wall.
And got trapped.
Yes.
Now, let's go to the centered bullet fragment here. This is the same fragment that we saw earlier that is next to the spinal cord.
Yes.
How close is that bullet fragment to the heart of Abigail Zwerner at the time that she is in the Riverside?
Oh, a few centimeters. Yeah.
And could you, with your hand, show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a few centimeters?
Something like that. Yeah.
And why is it that you can't go in and remove that bullet fragment?
Because anytime you would try to get to that area, there'd be too much things that you could damage and make it worse.
And when there is a bullet fragment 2 centimeters away from the aorta, what's the danger if that bullet fragment moves?
It could be into anything. It'd be the aorta could bleed.
And if a bullet fragment gets into the aorta,
yeah, it's significant life-threatening bleeding.
would you consider Abigail Zwerner's injuries at that time when you were treating her at Riverside Hospital to be critical?
Yes.
And are all of the things that you treated her for as a result of this bullet injury on January 6th causally related to because of the bullet?
Yes.
Now, let me talk about what you did after you helped her lung get back to breathing, did an assessment. What kind of doctors did you recommend to be brought in? I'm not going through in detail with you because we have orthopedic surgeons tomorrow with regard to her hand.
Right.
But obviously she had a bullet injury to her hand. What did you do? You're not an orthopedic surgeon. Did you bring in a team to do that?
Yes.
Do you remember who it is that came in?
Dr. Anderson.
Right, and what is the difference between what Dr. Anderson does as an orthopedic surgeon for the hand injuries versus what you do in the critical care? Is it just focused on the hand?
Yes.
Did you know whether or not he had brought in an extra doctor to assist him with the injuries to the hand?
Not at the time, but it did later.
Did later. Now, with regard to the bullet fragment near the aorta, was a doctor brought in to assist with that as well?
Not at the time, no.
Was another doctor brought in besides the orthopedic team, but a different team? Dr. Munn?
Yes, he's one of my partners. Mhm.
Okay, and what was the difference between Dr. Munn doing and what you were doing after you did the initial assessment? What did Dr. Munn's role, what was his role? Continuing the surgical care
Yes,
treatment?
that's
So
correct.
both of you treated her, Abigail, for as long as she was in the Riverside Hospital?
Yes.
Any idea, as we sit here, how long she was in Riverside?
Honestly, I can't remember. About a week.
I'll let her talk about it.
Yeah.
I take it that she was not healed when she left, but that's all you could do for purposes of keeping her in the hospital. She was going to continue on with treatment elsewhere.
Yes.
And you let other doctors take over the care after she left Riverside in your care and Dr. Munn's care.
Yes.
1 second, Your Honor. Thought I said that. Doctor, of all of the opinions you've given here today, to a reasonable degree of medical probability, all of the things that have happened to her and what you've talked about, your reasonable medical probability, all your opinions you've given?
Yes.
Thought I asked that, but maybe I didn't. I think those are all the questions I have, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Bright. All right, cross-examination?
No questions for the doctor.
No questions. Is he excused?
Yes.
All right.
No.
And no other subpoena, correct?
Correct.
All right, your time with us is over,
Thank you,
Dr. Chap. Thank you.